Welcome to the Not My Scene podcast, the podcast where we explore different scenes, communities, subcultures, and corners of the internet and tell you what we find. I'm Yarden.
And I'm Kaya. We are so excited for our first episode. We've been friends for over 20 years, and we both really value community in our own lives, and we love meeting characters who are just really passionate about whatever it is they love to do. So we're really interested in using the podcast as a venue to explore different hobbies, lifestyles, and scenes that have distinct subcultures and communities associated with them.
And depending on what topic we're discussing, we may be getting out into the field ourselves and having immersive experiences, or some of them, like this one, will be going down online rabbit holes. And we definitely want to talk to as many members of these subcultures and communities as we can.
Definitely. So some examples of things that we're looking forward to exploring on the podcast are communities like Renaissance fairs, improv comedy, biohacking, and we're excited to bring you guys along with us on our exploratory journey.
Yay!
Woo! Welcome to episode 1. All right, well, Yarden, what are we talking about today?
Great
Inaugural
question.
episode. Breaking
Yes.
our subculture virginity with a big one, maybe a sexy one.
Maybe. I think a pretty niche one, unless you were in certain corners of TikTok in 2020, perhaps.
Which I was.
Yes. But what we're going to talk about today is shifting. And I think we need to do a little explaining to our listeners that weren't on TikTok in 2020, perhaps, about what that is.
Yeah, I am so excited to talk about shifting. I got like completely sucked into this subculture. I think that it's for people who are younger than me in general. I'll say,
Yeah.
So I'm 27. But that did not stop the TikTok algorithm from like shoving this down my throat. I was like all shifting all the time, kind of in like peak pandemic, but also like the point in the pandemic where people were starting to like go back to their parents' house. I was in my like the guest bedroom at my mom's house, and that is kind of the environment that made me really susceptible to shifting.
That makes sense.
So shifting, for our listeners who are not on that corner of the internet, it is a community of people, I think definitely popularized in 2020. And it's people who, through a variety of different methods, were employing tactics to leave their current reality or their CR or their OR, original reality, as I understand it, and enter their desired reality, their DR. And my understanding of shifting is it is something that primarily takes place at night, although it seems like people, once you shift, you can be in your desired reality for like a very long period of time.
Yeah.
Potentially forever. So
Yes.
It's not always a nighttime thing, but it seems like in general it starts at night.
Yeah, but it's basically like this idea that you can go to these other universes like through your subconscious. And I think there's different beliefs about whether it's just like dreaming, lucid dreaming, which we'll go into, but like shifters would argue that it's something entirely different, and they're really experiencing like a different reality that feels as real as this one.
Yeah.
That you can just access like through yourself. And I mean, we'll go into all of this in more detail, but just to like give a brief overview, like it's mainly like, or how I first came into it was from seeing TikToks about people shifting into like fantasy universes that already exist through fiction, like Harry Potter. And we can go into like how it expands out of that as well, but that's how I first learned about it. And usually this would be done like by writing a script for yourself and talking about your desired reality, your DR, what you want yourself to be like, what you want to experience there.
Yeah, so a script is not like a movie script. It's it's basically like a journal entry, or it's almost like writing a fan fiction about yourself. It's like making yourself your name in a fan fiction. Like you're
right.
like writing yourself in. And I think what's interesting about shifting is like, obviously there's a lot of back and forth about whether or not people are actually reality shifting. But one thing that seems to kind of tie people up on the idea is, so like there's this like multiverse travel theory. I think that's kind of the basis for shifting. And the idea is like, oh, well, how can you, like, are you so small-minded as to think that like our reality is the only reality? Like quantum physics, you know the gist. There's billions, every single reality exists, and so I can shift to whichever reality I want to be in. But where it gets interesting is like when these realities are actually realities that already exist in these pieces of fiction. Like,
yes.
So it's like Harry Potter, as like everything about Harry Potter, the way that J.K. Rowling wrote it, exists in another universe. And also like another universe is like everything about Harry Potter, the way J.K. Rowling wrote it, except not the way. And there's like, for example, going to be, there's like different things, like, you know, maybe like Dumbledore isn't gay, as J.K. Rowling announced after the fact in your DR. I don't know. But so it's like there's just every single possibility is out there.
That's something that I kind of got hung up on. Because, okay, so if your desired reality is just, like, anything you script and it can be anything you want, fine. But then, like, the way that I saw people interacting, like, they would ask people that had shifted to, like, Hogwarts questions as if they were, like, the authority on it. They would be like, oh, like, what was Draco really like? Or, like, really obscure questions. Like, I saw one that was, like, are there any luxury brands in the wizarding world? And like this shifter was like explaining like, so they don't have big brands like Gucci, but they do have more like small boutiques. And it's like, but
why? Because it's the 90s? I mean, I think Gucci was already around in the 90s.
Yeah.
Or it's just like British, so they're like, oh, it's more boutique. It's not so big box.
It's hard to imagine, like, a chain store, like, on Diagon Alley.
Yeah. Also, definitely in people's DR, and this is bleeding a little bit into fan fiction, which is very interrelated with shifting, but I feel like there was a lot of shifting. I was seeing, like, visual scripts on TikTok, and part of the scripts were Draco definitely wearing brand, like, luxury
That's
brands.
So funny. Oh, yeah,
as like rich zaddy.
I would see like visual ones as well, where like there would be like screenshots, like it'd be like all like aesthetic, like black and white, and there'd be like a screenshot of like an iPhone playing like The Weeknd.
Yeah.
Just to like make it more like dark and moody, but it's like funny to imagine people in Harry Potter listening to The Weeknd.
The Weeknd loves the idea of Death Eaters listening to The Weeknd. He's taking a very dark turn. Yeah, it's. I mean, I guess in the situation you described earlier, where it's like they're asking other people who are the authority, maybe they're just trying to shift into the same version, like the same DR. Like, yeah, plenty of DRs exist, but I want to go. You are my god. Like, I'm shifting into your DR.
Right.
But that seems hard.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
really
yeah,
precise.
Like, I mean, I came across group shifting. Did you? As
no,
well.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so this
not.
is like something that really confused me, because it's like people trying to shift with their friends. It mostly seemed like people trying to shift with like online friends, like other shifters in the shift community. But it's like, what do you mean? Like, if it's through like your subconscious, like how are you linking up? Like you got Bluetooth with your friends, like
it's very intimate. Like I'm leaving my world and I'm shifting into my desired reality, where like I would assume everything is exactly as you want it, and I want you, internet friend, to be there with me. Like you are part of my desired reality.
And it's like, I mean, like the whole idea of like bringing a real person into your desired reality in general is kind of weird, because it's like you're kind of just making them do stuff unless like they're independently shifting there. But
right. And like, are these people, I mean, I would love to talk to someone who's group shifted, and I want to know, like, so are you both group shifting? And then when you're awake, are you like, I want them to be like, did you see the color of like that road sign? Like, what color was it? And if they're in like the same reality, they should know. But
yeah. Talk about this app, because that's where I like mainly came across the group shifting.
Please.
So there's this app called LIFA, or LIFA, I don't know how you pronounce it.
Okay.
But basically, it's just like a tool where like it's all set up for shifting. Like you can write your scripts in there, but you also can like completely customize it. So, I mean, if you do want to pull up my screenshots, you can, but I'll describe them. Basically, like you theme it kind of like how people will like customize their iPhone, where you like all the apps are like different images and stuff like that. So you make it completely like the vibe of your DR. But then it also has like a social element where there's like posting and upvoting, like kind of like Reddit. And then there's also like this group shifting aspect where you can basically like browse for different DRs and then like request to join them, which like that part is just crazy to me. And like I do wonder like how much of that of the app is like more so just like the social element of like online interacting and like being like, hey, like I'm in your DR and like we're chatting about it and what we want it to be like, versus like, are you actually like all trying to shift together?
Yeah, totally. This is something that I was going to bring up. I feel like regardless of whether people are really shifting, it seems like at least shifting is accomplishing part of the goal, in that like shifting has given people a community where it's like, well, they can surround themselves with people who are also like in their DR, and they can like only talk about this DR, like they can only consume content that's like other people shifting to that DR. So it's like you almost like
it doesn't
shifting.
Even matter.
Right, exactly. You're making friends with people who like also want to talk about this thing.
And like the act of writing the script itself is like you're escaping to that place, because you have to get so into it and like write all of these details.
Yeah. I saw someone giving advice on Reddit, and they were saying, don't picture yourself shifting. I always say this. Don't picture yourself shifting. Picture yourself living your life in the desired reality. So basically, like, to picture yourself shifting is to remind your subconscious that you are not yet in your desired reality. So if you want to shift, just like live that life. Like imagine yourself living the life, and then you will be there, which is kind of nice. Like I think there's some dark aspects to shifting that we can get into, but I do like how similar it is to manifestation. I'm like, yes, like, let's go, girls. Imagine yourself dating Draco. Imagine yourself competing in the Hunger Games. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I definitely saw a lot of that, too. Like, don't say, like, I'm going to shift. Say, like, I can shift, or I have shifted.
I have shifted.
I have shifted. Something shifted.
Okay, on the darker side, though, I saw a lot of perma-shifting content, which I also want to talk about.
I saw, like, a few comments about it, but I didn't go deep into that.
Okay, so perma-shifting, this is new to me. This is not something I was exposed to when I was on Shift Talk in 2020. Perma-shifting is basically like shifting permanently, as you can imagine from the name. And so your desired reality becomes your current reality, and your current reality, people refer to it as your original reality, or your OR, but you're like, you could also think about it as like, well, you wouldn't say desired reality because it's not desired, it's your old life. But basically you live in your new reality permanently. Yeah. And I saw some interesting Reddit posts. Like I saw this one where someone basically said, the post started with, if you're reading this, I'm gone.
Okay.
So they were basically like leaving a journal entry of like how they successfully shifted for the last time, and then they were like, "This is it, peace out. I have left." And then when you shift, you might be wondering, like, okay, well, what happens to the body? But people, it's your clone. Do you want to talk about clones?
Yes, I do want to talk about clones.
So clones are basically like what happens to your corporeal form after you have shifted to your desired reality. And it's kind of like your other self that just keeps doing all the mundane things that you didn't want to do in your original reality.
Is wild. Like I saw people like script like, my clone will do exactly as I would have done and go about like my day and go to school and raise no suspicions.
Yeah, I feel like my clone would have done exactly what I would have done is kind of like a cop-out clone script. Like, okay.
Right, yeah. Also, like, I saw some comment that was like, your clone is you, but with no conscious.
It's like Severance.
And they were like, it's like some people don't have an internal dialogue, so that would be you.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like have you heard like people? Yeah, have you heard people?
Oh, so
say
everyone
that, like,
who doesn't have an internal dialogue is like actually a clone.
Well, I don't know if the logic goes both ways. But yeah, that's also like where it kind of falls apart for me. I feel like I can buy into it when it's like, okay, my clone is laying there sleeping, but like your clone is living like out this entire life.
Yeah, like your clone is riding the bus. Your clone is like kissing people.
Like your clone's getting married.
Your clone is giving birth.
That's not a clone activity. Like, that's a main character activity.
It is. I also saw someone say, like, I can monitor my clone. It's kind of like an out-of-body experience where I can, like, keep track of my clone. But that feels weird to me because if you can do that, then why can't we have an out-of-body experience keeping track of ourselves in our desired reality? Like, I feel like you can't have it both ways, but who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, that also was like one of the original like proposed purposes of this LIFA app. Also, this app is super interesting because like people were talking about it like for years before it was actually built, and like they were posting TikToks being like, I thought this app was real, but it's only real in my DR, and like all these other people were like, I also thought this app existed. And so like they were all like, I guess they all had like some app in their DR or just like wanted to have this app, depending on what you believe, that like, you know, like one of the purposes was to monitor your clone. Like this one screenshot, this woman says, the LIFA app is an app that only exists in your DR. Don't worry, I thought it was real too. On the LIFA app, you can edit your script or closet, see what your clone is doing, and change the weather. You can make it on diff apps or just script how it looks. That was in 2022, that post. I don't know when the app actually got created, but like I also saw like a bunch of people like kind of like uploading their own designs for like what they thought it looked like, and then I guess someone just eventually made it. And I don't think it has a feature for monitoring your clone.
Okay, so originally the LIFA app was like, it was just a way to keep track of your clone. Like the scripts you're writing in the LIFA app were for your clone.
I don't know if it was just for that, but it did seem like
people were imagining that technology had reached a place in their desired reality where they could reach through these different universes via their iPhone.
Yeah.
That rocks. That's awesome. They're like, we still have cancer in my desired reality, but I can edit my clone script from my phone whenever I want.
In my desired reality, we can reach across dimensions and change what my other self is doing, but it does not get scary.
I can indicate through my iPhone that my other self wants to have a C-section and not a vaginal birth.
You're welcome, clone. That's twin.
It's interesting, too. I just want to point out this screenshot of the LIFA app explanation, the girl in the screenshot is super hot. Like, I just want to say a lot of shift talk, very beautiful people are trying to shift. Like, this is not incel behavior. This is hot people are doing it. So just keep that in mind, listeners.
Yeah, I did find that as well. Although I also did come across a lot of, like, I mean, this isn't surprising, but, like, a lot of people that were like, I'm so excited to be, like, pretty in my DR. Like, you can script exactly how you look, how you smell. Like, your hair's never greasy.
That would be a big one for me. I'm scripting. My desired reality is my reality, except your hair is never greasy.
No, I feel like that is, like, the extent that it goes for some people. Like, it's, like, such a range from, like, fully, like, shifting to, like, Harry Potter world to, like, people, like, a bunch of the popular ones that I saw on LIFA were, like, just, like, teenage friend group. This is a DR of a whole bunch of teenagers just doing whatever they want. We all know each other. It's one big friend group. You can script, you have amazing parents, bad parents, or no parents at all. You can choose to go or not go to school. You can have adventures. You can be a teenage YouTuber, whatever you want.
Scripting bad parents to give yourself, like, a mysterious past and more complexity in your DR.
And there's, like, another one that's, like, no parents teens. So, like, some of them are just, like, real life, but, like, with everything you want.
Yeah. Like, desired reality is me, but my stomach never hurts.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a TikToker that I was seeing a ton of videos from in, like, early Shift Talk 2020. And honestly, it was, like, really fun to follow her content because it was almost like following, like, an influencer who vlogs or just, like, reading fan fiction, because she would shift every night, and then the next morning she would post, like, what had happened to her in her desired reality. And her whole account was that she was dating Draco Malfoy. It was, like, very fan fiction based, but it was kind of crazy because this unnamed TikToker, there was, like, Shift Talk drama, which I was not aware of. I guess I was not. I had left the Shift Talk community at this point. But she posted a video where basically she offered to take the dark mark instead of Draco Malfoy to save him from the pain of it. And this video got, like, over 50,000 likes. Like, she had, like, at least 200,000. I checked her account today, and she has, like, almost 200,000 followers still. So I can only imagine how many she had at peak 2020 Shift Talk. People lose their fucking minds, and they basically are like, this is so fucked up. You got a symbol that is, like, very dark. Like, it's, like, associated with hate crimes, and you shouldn't do that. And, like, every person in your desired reality is a real person, like, as real as they are here. So to, like, get the dark mark there is, like, to be a Nazi here. And she basically got canceled because of this, like, ultimate romantic act. And then she had, like, a whole apology video and was like, I'm sorry, like, I was just trying to, like, protect Draco. And she felt like she couldn't script out Death Eaters entirely because it could have led to bigger consequences that she didn't want to deal with, which I don't know what that implies, but she was trying to keep it, you know, close to the J.K. Rowling script. But yeah, that was a big drama in the Shift community.
But, like, that... Okay, I have a couple questions. One, it's, like, in cases like that where you're, like, continuously going back to your DR, it's, like, ongoing, like, would she be scripting, like, exactly what's going to happen every day? Or at a certain point, is it, like, let me just shift and see what happens? Like, how much of it is scripted versus, like, just doing it?
I think it really depends. Like, for some people, I think they treat their script like a fan fiction. Like, they are writing a, like, 1,000-page thing, and I don't think, maybe those people aren't, like, shifting every night because this is, like, a full-time job to be, like, writing a full feature film every time you go to sleep. And some people, it seems like they're just doing, like, manifestations. Like, in my desired reality, I am dating Draco Malfoy. This is the thing we keep coming back to, but there's other things too. Like,
but that is, like, the main one.
That is the main one. at least from what I'm seeing. In my desired reality, I am the brightest witch of my generation. In my desired reality, everyone likes me. I am confident. Like, I think you can have some general manifestations, which honestly, good for you. Again, if you're like repeating that over and over before you go to bed, you're probably
that must be good.
Internalizing some of it. Yeah.
It must be good to say I'm the brightest witch of my generation every night.
It must be good to say there's no brand names in my desired reality, but my boyfriend Draco Malfoy is giving me luxury items from more boutique brands.
I feel like I would want to have like some surprises. Like I would more go like the manifestation route.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if this TikToker, like, did she go to bed being like, fuck, I'm going to have to take the dark mark
like
for
she
Draco
wrote
tonight?
it into her script, right?
I am taking the dark mark for Draco. I am a selfless lover. I am a compassionate partner to Draco Malfoy. I make sacrifices for my boyfriend.
Yeah. Okay, like, thematically and, like, content-wise, like, one of the most common seems to be, like, shifting to Harry Potter and specifically, like, being in Slytherin and like either like dating Draco, or I like came across this one TikToker who was like dating someone named Mateo, who is like the fan fiction like son of Voldemort, and he's also evil. And it's like, what is the obsession with like shifting and like being associated with like evil?
This feels very rooted to fan fiction to me.
Definitely.
So this is like how I can speak a little bit about my personal experience with shifting. As a 27-year-old, I in 2020, so I would say like the first thing for me mentally was I started reading a ton of fantasy books, which I know a lot of people started doing.
Yeah.
And then my For You page just started getting like bombarded after fantasy book recommendations. It was like so much Harry Potter like fan edit content. There was like this particular song that was associated with Draco Malfoy, and there were these like, and the really funny thing is actually, I don't think that like Tom Felton is actually in the movies that much. So it was like a very limited pool of content that they could pull from for these fan edits, like the Timothée Chalamet dance from Call Me By Your Name. It was just like the same shot of him like holding an apple or like getting punched in the face, like reversed and like reverbed in slow mode. And so it was a lot of that, and then that is what brought me to, and then Draco Malfoy fan fictions obviously, and then that brought me to shifting.
So is it just like the tale as old as time, like the bad boy, like
I think so,
appeal?
Yeah.
But it's like, if you're gonna get canceled for like getting the dark mark, like why would you not get canceled for like dating Voldemort's son, who's also evil?
Well, I think that this is like the nature of the internet. Maybe the TikTok algorithm was just working too well, and her videos got blasted outside of like the safe space of fanfiction girls, because I cannot imagine a fanfiction author getting canceled for writing that's like good shit. That's like fanfiction girlies would love taking the dark mark for Draco. But you know, Gen Z getting too woke on TikTok, so but yeah, it's interesting. So I will confess, I did try shifting once at my mom's house, very deep in the pandemic. I felt like I just like had nothing else going on, really. And I was reading like so much fantasy and so much fan fiction, and I was seeing so many fan edits on TikTok, and it did not work for me at all. But I will say I'm a really deep sleeper, and I didn't really give it a full... Yeah, I can share my experience. So,
well, can you where did you try to shift to, or is it private?
Hogwarts, for sure. Okay. Hogwarts.
Yeah.
I didn't have like romantic intentions. I wasn't... Don't cancel me, ladies. I was not trying to date Draco Malfoy. I was just like trying to see if I could like get to another place. But no, it didn't work at all.
So did you write a script?
I didn't write a script. I felt like my like subconscious
I feel like you have
was
to
like
write a script. Like I feel like that's the main thing.
Yeah, maybe. But also I felt like my subconscious was like so saturated with this type of content. I was like, it's already in there. Like this is all I'm seeing. And I do see a lot of messaging online that's like, everyone has different methods, like shift the way that you want to shift. So I was like, okay, fuck it. And I tried the starfish method. We haven't discussed yet. This is like, I think, one of the older methods now. I was looking on Reddit and there's like so many methods now. But starfish method, you basically starfish your arms and legs. So that there's something about your limbs not touching your body that's supposed to send you into an alternate reality. I tried it.
What I would give to like have footage of you like starfished on your bed.
Like putting the dog outside my room so that I could starfish. But yeah, so I starfished, and I think I tried some like counting. I think the thing I did was, it was like, okay, imagine yourself in Grand Central Station or King's Cross, whatever you want, and a train comes, and then you get on the train, and the train in this manifestation takes you to your desired reality. But there's also like, you can open a door. There's a lot of different visualizing, like count to 100, but it didn't work for me. I will say though, like I've never lucid dreamed successfully. I've never astral projected successfully. And I feel like astral projecting would be a huge help if you were trying to shift.
I'm going to be honest, I don't really know what astral projecting means.
I don't either. I just imagine that meme of like the brain getting exploded into space. I think it's like, I don't know what it is either.
So did you just fall asleep, or did you just like get bored and get up?
Yeah, I feel like I had like a fitful. It was probably like half an hour, and then I was like tired and went to sleep. Not starfished. I can't sleep starfished. I'm not a psycho. Yeah. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's like trying to keep you somewhat awake. Like, you know how it's like you want to be comfortable, but you don't want to fall asleep when you're meditating. Like it might be that same thing. Like, you're not allowed to go into the fetal position. You have to starfish.
I've seen a lot of, like, conflicting, like, because some people, like, do shift while sleeping, which is like, okay, this is dreaming, right, guys?
You can be honest.
And then, like, I also saw, like, people saying, like, try not to fall asleep, but, like, stay in that in-between, which, like, that, like, makes the most sense to me because I feel like weird stuff happens, like, when you're in that in-between. But, like, I also saw, like, specifically, like, be comfortable, like, try moving around. Like,
maybe that would have helped me.
Itches, scratch them. But, like,
I did see one that was, like, no movement allowed, and then someone said, is licking your lips and moistening your mouth does it count as movement? And everyone in the responses was like, don't worry, it doesn't count as movement.
That's so funny. Yeah, I did not try to shift, and I'll talk a bit.
What stopped you?
Yeah, no, I thought a lot about this because I do think it sounds so cool, and like I am like genuinely very jealous of people. I don't know what they're experiencing, but it does seem like enough people like are experiencing something where they're having like an intense experience. Maybe that's just lucid dreaming, or like,
which also sounds sick. Like, have you ever lucid dreamed? I have not.
No. We should try sometime.
Yeah, we should. I kind of tried like around Inception time when everyone was talking about like totems, but I don't know. We should try for the pod. That could be another community. Lucid dreamers. There's a way.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a Reddit. Or like I also was like, is this like self-hypnosis? Because like I feel like hypnosis is real, so maybe. Anyways, I didn't try, and mainly like I didn't know where to shift. Like really like the only like fictional place I really like wanted to go or like felt like I knew enough about was like Harry Potter. But even Harry Potter, like I feel like I hadn't like engaged with like the movies or books and in so long. I'm like, do I have enough detail? And like I didn't know like who I wanted to be in my DR. And like, okay, this is also really like, okay, woke Gen Z TikTokers. But I came across a fellow adult on Shift Talk who kept saying like, I do not shift for minors. Like, I'm always 18 plus in my DRs, and everyone there is 18 plus.
I was going to bring this up. This is one of my ethical questions that I wanted to discuss today.
And I was like, Well, first, even before I came across that, I was like, I would only want to go to Harry Potter if I was like in Hogwarts and like a student there, because like that sounds like the most fun. But I'm like, do I want to be a teenager and around all these teenagers? And that was before I even saw her pose it as like an ethical thing. I was just like, I don't know if I would like be like kikiing like, with the teens.
You could give yourself like a shift-induced lobotomy in your desired reality and like be less emotionally developed.
Script that I have the maturity of a teen.
But then how is someone with the maturity of a teen going to check on their pregnant clone via their LIFA app? They're not going to know what to do.
But I think she was like more like saying like, oh, like it would be wrong like as an adult in like your CR to like, you know, like be in like a romantic relationship like as a teen with another teen in your DR.
Yeah. I saw a Reddit post exactly this. It says, is it morally wrong as an adult to shift into a teenager? I'm 19 years old and want to shift to Hogwarts in my desired reality.
19? Like, yeah, you can do it.
I'm calling the cops. If you're in Utah, you can do it. In my desired reality, Hogwarts starts at 13. So they're already fudging the rules here because I guess they don't want to go hang out with 11-year-olds. And I'm shifting to third year, which makes me a 15-year-old there. I'm not going to have any romance there. I'm not really into these kinds of things. What I want is to experience magic, develop some cool friendships, get some funny childhood memories, bully Malfoy, and meet McGonagall because I'm a fan, lol. What do you think?
I think that is completely fine.
I do too. I feel like we can't be policing what people are doing in their brains. Like,
I mean, I could see it if you're like, okay, like imagine like a 45-year-old man like that only shifts to like, be like a 15-year-old boy to like hook up with like 15-year-old girls.
Or like only shifts to be themselves and is still hooking up with 15-year-olds.
Like in my desired reality, like I can hook up with 15-year-olds.
Or like, okay, come on, let's cut this guy some slack. Like in my desired reality, I'm me, John, the accountant, shifting to Hogwarts, but I am dating Hermione Granger there. And I'm just me, John, visiting after work. Which is worse?
So bad. Which is worse?
I think me, John is worse.
I think. Wait, but mine was also me, John.
I think me, 15-year-old John, is less bad.
Oh no. Yeah, I agree. But then I thought you were talking about the like me, John, and this like everything's the same except for I can hook up with 15-year-old girls.
No, that's really bad. That's definitely the worst. Let's say that's number one. Number two worst is me, John, 45, but I'm dating Hermione Granger. And then the best, if we could have my desired reality for this guy, in my desired reality, this guy is shifting in as a 15-year-old to date Hermione Granger, also as a 15-year-old.
I still think it's weird.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, not because I think that it's, like, fucked up to, like, Hermione, but, like...
But she is real.
Some believe that, yes.
Or, like, at least John thinks she's real when he's shifting.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think that's the fucked up part is, like, I don't know, just, like, having that going on in your brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But something sweet I saw online was if you're ever having a bad day, just remember that you're somebody's comfort character in their desired reality. Because there's every reality exists out there. So there has to be a reality where people are shifting in to hang out with Yarden.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't really come across the like infinite realities as much. But just to close the loop on my holdups with why I didn't shift.
Oh, please.
Okay, so it was mainly like I was like thinking about this Harry Potter thing, and then I was like, or like I couldn't think of any other, like, fictional world. Like, I don't want to go to, like, Game of Thrones. Like, that sounds, like, actively bad to be there. Or, like, I was, like, literally trying to think of, like, what's the most, like, rosy-colored, like, just positive. And I was, like, Emily in Paris. And then I was, like, no, that bitch is annoying.
And you can just like, go to Paris.
Right. And then I was like, then I was like, well, I mean, it's not like my life is perfect. Like, there are like fantasies I have, like, you know, like starting the commune. But like, it feels like lame to like shift to something that like is real. Like, you know, it's like,
yeah, totally.
Just make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, I do think there's something to shifting specifically for people who are still underage, because it's like, maybe I don't have the agency to move to Paris or like apply for this job I want or whatever. Like,
yeah. And like, I definitely think I could have gotten into it like as a teen. Like, I remember like having like those very like vivid, like thought out like fantasies of like, oh, imagine my life was like this, blah blah blah, or like I went to a boarding school. And so I definitely could relate.
On the same note, this was another question posed on Reddit. What is a common desired reality people shift to that you could never understand? And one of the most responded answers was euphoria, which is like definitely confusing to me, because like, okay, what is it? If you want to like fuck one of these actors, you could just do that in a different desired reality. If you want to like do drugs.
But I think they want to like specifically like interact with those characters.
I haven't seen Euphoria, so I really can't speak on this. Yeah. But that feels bad to me.
Or like, I saw people that like their desired reality was like The Walking Dead, and I was like,
yes, me too.
What? Why would you want? Like, I've also never watched The Walking Dead, but like,
I've watched a little. It's
like scary, right? Like,
yeah,
you would always be like survival mode, like running from zombies.
But some people were like, it's good training. Like for people, you know, like if people are like, I need to prepare myself for the zombie apocalypse or the end of days. I also saw some people who were like, I just want unusual experiences. But this feels like that's just like a different kind of brain chemistry to me. Like maybe this is like, oh, I love watching horror movies. I love shifting to The Walking Dead. Not for me personally.
Get the like different experiences. Like with Harry Potter, for some reason, like I'm like, I wouldn't mind like going on the adventures, like having conflict, but like something like, I don't know, some of them are like too scary. Like I don't want to genuinely be like fearing for my life.
Yeah, well, I think part of Harry Potter too is like it feels a little safer. Like it is a children's book at the end of the day. And there's like, you know, there's no gore in Harry Potter. You're just like casting spells at people. And like presumably if you're shifting there, you're either Harry Potter himself with all of his capabilities, or you're like hanging out with him. I
haven't seen anyone say they're Harry Potter because like most people I saw were girls.
Well, you could shift. You could be Harry Potter. Yeah. It's 2024. Girls can be Harry Potter in their desired realities.
But okay, that does also bring up the like identity thing, because I saw like one TikTok that was like face claims for your desired reality, Black Girls edition, and it was just like a bunch of like pretty Black girls, and then it was like, hot people do not switch race when shifting. So that's another ethical question. Like,
yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, it sounds like no. Hot people do not.
Hot people do not, and shifters are hot. I wish we had a shifter on the pod.
I know, shifters. If you're listening to this, we would love to have you on the pod. Please come on.
Do we have an email?
Yeah. We have an email, notmyscenepod@gmail.com. Write to us. We want to hear your experience.
And also, yeah, just your thoughts about shifting, even if you haven't shifted.
Yeah, we would love to hear.
I keep coming back to this app, but I did just want to say another thing about it.
Please.
Okay, so I started looking into like their privacy policy, just because it's like, think about like the data that they have. Like they have like data on like thousands of teens, like their deepest desires, and like you can add in here like the clothes you want to wear, like objects, like there's like a lot of like just
do we know
unstructured
who started
data.
This app?
I looked into it. It was like the developer,
like the Koch brothers, brought to you by Monsanto, LIFA.
Yeah. No, it's Butter Apps LLC, which I went to their website, and there's 2 other applications on there, but the links were broken.
Okay. It's definitely like a shell corporation for like Lockheed Martin.
Like, and even if they're not doing anything with the data, like, I think there's like a clause, like if they ever get sold, like the data all gets sold. So, I mean, I feel like it's just like a gold mine of like...
That is scary.
Yeah. The dark side of the shifting industry. Big shifting.
Big shift is going to come for us. Big shift, if you're listening, we're not afraid of you. Butter is such a like, okay, can I think of something that's like non-assuming, non-threatening, just a really neutral name for my company? It's like Butter. It's like Milk app.
Also, like, just in terms of like me trying to like get involved in this community, like, I did like join a couple of like the group DRs, but they were just like the ones that were like a place to yap about shifting. And then I also like joined the Discord for LIFA, but I didn't do anything in there because I immediately felt creepy because everyone was like 14 and 15 years old. So I was like, this is not a place for me. But I am happy to report that like it seems like the youths of today are like more savvy than our generation was, like in terms of like their identity. Like no one had like a real profile picture, and like
okay, good.
Nobody had like their real name, so that was nice to see.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, maybe they're not youths, for all we know.
They're all John saying, hi, I'm Xander, 14, he, they.
He was so excited to see you sign up. He was like, finally, we got a real girl.
Did you see the CIA document?
No, what is that? We're deep in the lore now.
I saw a comment on like someone's TikTok, or like someone was like asking like what's the proof, and someone responded and was like, there's a CIA document. So then I googled like shifting CIA document, and I did find a document. I linked it in here. I honestly was like, I'm not reading all that, like it's really long and technical.
Okay.
But
technical.
then I did.
It's like math.
Yeah.
Okay, also, fun fact for the pod listeners, Yarden is a math major, so she will be able to check any math in this CIA document.
Yeah, I'm doing my own research. I'm validating the the calculations. But this document is from 1983, and I just like read a Reddit post summarizing it. I guess they're part of Cold War era research into various methods for extracting information, including activities like astral projection. But yeah, this person in the subreddit, which like this is from a shifter, they said the doc is a hypothesis for how it could work, but it doesn't offer any proof because like there's not really any way to prove it.
Do you know if this is like something that was created because people were like saying they were having this experience, or was this just like the CIA like kind of scratching their head and thinking about how they could create new types of weapons?
I don't know how it originated. Maybe we'll follow up on a future episode.
Oh my god, is this real? I feel like, could this be real? To Commander, U.S. Army Operational Group. 1. You tasked me to provide an assessment of the Gateway experience in terms of its mechanics and ultimate practicality.
But it's like on CIA.gov.
So I guess it is. Wow, that's crazy. June 9th, 1983.
I mean, like, do they say shift in here? They call it the Gateway experience.
The Gateway experience. Proper noun. Whoa,
also,
there are
like,
some big words in here.
Yeah, exactly.
I had to be able to construct a scientifically valid and reasonably lucid model of how consciousness functions under the influence of the brain hemisphere synchronization technique employed by Gateway. This CIA agent was just like tripping on shrooms day after day and doing the starfish, pinning himself down in the starfish method with a video camera on him. Where were they even trying to shift to in 1983? Like Heidi?
Star Wars? was around.
Was
right?
Star Wars around there? Yeah, maybe.
And like the person in the subreddit made a good point, which is like, if they did find it was real, they would not be like readily releasing this information.
That is, although maybe there's like some kind of FOIA thing where like after a certain number of years they have to release it to the public.
Yeah.
But if it was really happening, I don't know if they would give away such good information. This is kind of a poignant line. The danger exists that some people will reject the whole concept of the gateway experience in the mistaken belief that it contradicts and is therefore alien to all that they hold to be right and true.
Facts.
This is so interesting. I feel like we need to do a whole nother podcast on this CIA. There's like,
I know.
Okay, for our listeners, there's like illustrations of the human brain and like lateral views.
I should have sent this to you ahead of time.
No, this is great. I'm like, this is crazy. So it's 29 pages long. We can review this and we'll do a follow-up maybe if we find anything good in here.
It just becomes like listeners. A whole shifting podcast. I wonder if there are any shifting podcasts.
Maybe. We should talk to them. There's a whole diagram on here called the absolute in infinity, and it's like sound waves with infinity. Look at page 15. This is not good for an audio medium, but we'll post it on the Instagram.
Yeah.
If you want to see what the absolute in infinity looks like on the CIA reality shifting document from 1983, follow us at not my scene podcast on Instagram, and you can see more there. Okay, I have another ethical question for you.
Okay.
This is something I came up myself with. This is not from the Reddit. So if people who shift believe that everyone is real, like you're not making this up, you are like entering a real reality, is it fucked up to get to like script what they do? Like, is it fair for me to script and be like, right, Draco Malfoy wants my banging body? Like, that feels like maybe a consent issue if Draco Malfoy is like real in this other universe.
Yeah, that's so interesting. But like, you are almost creating
you are mother.
Like, I don't know.
So it's not like you're making them do that. You're like, I'm shifting to the universe where Draco is horny for me.
I think that is the thought process. Like, okay, I didn't make this reality exists, and I'm just going there.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, like, that was convincing. Like, the logic follows.
So, like, I kind of talked about my beliefs on it. I'd love to hear, like, do you believe in shifting? Like, do you think it's real?
I think, like you, I struggle with the piece where it's like I do believe that maybe there are other universes out there. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I believe that there's a universe out there where Draco Malfoy is horny for me. Like, that just feels like so specific. And I don't know if, like, if there is that universe, I don't know if, like, me starfishing is gonna get me there.
It's like, too far away.
It's too far away. Like, I would need like something physical. Like, I would need to go in like a semiconductor or something to get there. I don't think I can just like visualize and get myself there.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't think it really matters. Like, I think I support shifting if it can be done in a healthy way. I'm a little nervous about the people out there perma-shifting, but I'm all for people just manifesting slay realities for themselves. And I don't know if it really matters. Like, I think it's very much up to the individual's experience, and I do think it's cool that we kind of have like this feels like a younger version of like fan fiction.
Definitely.
Like,
very fan fiction adjacent. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's just like a place where like people can connect, and like especially teens. Like, okay, like, it's hard to be a teen, we all know, and, you know, if you can escape, whether, like, that's, like, getting really just, like, into, like, reading books or, like, writing fan fiction, or then, like, this is almost, like, a step further, and then on top of it, like, the part that I think is going to be applicable to a lot of these is you, like, found people that you can talk to that maybe, like, aren't in your normal circle at, like, school or in your family or something.
Yeah. 100%. I completely agree. I do think, like, some of the language I was seeing online around shifting, like, I would encourage some people to experiment with ways of bringing your desired reality into your current reality, into your CR. Like, fan fiction, we can talk about that another time, but, like, people are writing whole novels out there. You know, channel your desire to be in The Walking Dead into, like, the next great horror book.
Horror, yeah.
Exactly,
yeah.
But I do think, like, okay, do I believe in it? Maybe not. But do I think that I could have been part of this community as a teenager? Fuck yeah. Like,
yeah, me too, for sure.
I mean, I tried it as a 27-year-old. Like, I gave it a shot. So, yeah, I would be super fucking down with shifting if I was a teenager. I totally get it. And I do think it makes sense that this, like, got so popular in the pandemic. Like, people were stuck at home and needed a way out, so they, you know, crossed universes to find a new way out.
Definitely. No, I can really imagine, like, us, like, as, like, teens, like, Facebook messaging about, like, trying to
scripts. Totally.
Did you starfish last night?
Okay, so to wrap it up, if you had to shift somewhere, though, where are you shifting?
I mean, I guess it's got to be Harry Potter. Just, like, I mean, I would love to experience it in the 4D.
Yeah, me too. It's interesting now, too, because, like, it's funny to me that people are doing this for this community that we, like, okay, compared to when we were kids, there is so much Harry Potter IRL content out there now. Like, I remember watching the Harry Potter movies and being, like, so gagged by the, like, with your DVD remote, you could, like, do the combo for the Diagon Alley bricks, and then you could, like, enter Diagon Alley, and it was, like, the shittiest special feater ever. And now you can, like, go to Universal Studios and all this stuff.
Or you can put on, like, one of those, like, headsets, those VR headsets, and, like, play Harry Potter. But
do the shifters know about VR headsets?
They would be like, that's completely different. Like, you're not feeling like, But
and you know what? They'd be right. Like, they're not doing the work.
Be right.
They're not manifesting.
Yeah. And, like, I'm also surprised, though, like, that Harry Potter is so popular just because it seems like a millennial thing. But
I think it might partly be its enduring power on fan fiction.
Yeah.
I think that
I mean, most
really
of the characters I've been seeing on there, I'm like, who is that?
Yeah, I will say I skipped some Reddit posts where I was like, I have no idea who these people are talking about. So maybe we have a biased view. I'm like, I know The Walking Dead. Yeah, I think I would also shift to Harry Potter.
Yeah. Okay, well,
let us know what you think. It was super fun. I'm excited to try shifting tonight.
I might try, just without a script
have to explain
as
to
well.
Drew how to starfish.
Yeah, I think it'd be hard with another person in the bed.
That's another ethical question. Is it cool to shift with your IRL partner in bed with you? I don't know.
Is it cool to have a different SO in your DR?
Polly in your DR. Yeah, let us know. And seriously, shifters or people who have thoughts on shifting, please reach out. We want to talk. CIA agents, reach out.
Who's the author of this document? If you wrote this document in 1983, we'd love to have you on the pod.
We would love to. It's funny that the memo is addressed to just Commander.
It makes it seem fake.
Super fake. It's like, hey, boss. Maybe they whited out the commander's name. They had to make some modifications to this document before they posted it live. Approved for release 2003, September 10th. So it was classified for a period of time.
Much to consider. Right. Happy shifting.
Yeah. Happy shifting. We'll talk to you all soon. Bye.